It's 11:30 at night. The fight ended an hour ago. Your partner's asleep or pretending to be, and you're lying there running it all back in your mind. What they said, what you wish you hadn't said, what you wish they would have said, and somewhere in the middle of all of that replaying, the thought shows up, the one that you've had 100 times before. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe every fight, every cold morning, everything that's gone sideways between us, maybe it all circles back to me. If that scene hits close to home, stay with me right here because there's something that you need to know. Welcome to Love Shack Live. I'm Staci Bartley, a relationship mentor, and I'm here with my co-host and lover Tom and our daughter Brooke. This show is for those of you standing at a relationship crossroads with the daily conflicts, the emotional gaps that keep widening, and the quiet wonder if what you have with the person next to you is ever going to feel good, close, and connected again. Here's what 13 years of sitting with couples has taught me. The thing that keeps most of us stuck isn't the fight itself. It's what you do to yourself after the fight. You are not so much the problem. You've been carrying the problem. And the problem is a little thing we refer to as guilt. Very often. It's the feeling that nobody ever taught you how to set down, how to work with, and you just feel shameful for feeling it in the first place. So today we're pulling apart these two emotions that you've probably been dragging around for your entire adult life, guilt and shame. Most of us were never taught the difference between them, so we collapse them into one heavy feeling that runs our lives. In this episode, we're going to pull them all apart. My promise to you is you're going to walk away with a 3-step framework to turn guilt into growth instead of self-punishment.
Hey, thank you for coming. Welcome to the Love Shack.
So, without further ado, what's guilt? Why do we have it? Where does it come from? Is there an upside? Because I think the word guilt or the experience of guilt has kind of been demonized in our culture.
No doubt.
So guilt is really my emotions signaling to me that I've done something I wish I hadn't. I've done something that's had a negative impact on myself or the people around me. It's a behavior question. I wish I wouldn't have said that. Oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Oh, I could have done that better. Why didn't I say this? Oh my gosh. Or, hey, you should probably clean that up. I always go to this memory very early on in my life where I owed my neighbor $35 and we were really struggling financially. And so I kind of kept putting it off. And I'll never forget one day, seeing her in the grocery store and my own guilt had me hiding out in the soup aisle, waiting for her to leave because the guilt wasn't in a place where I wanted to address it right then. I just wanted to sit in it because I didn't know what to say and I was embarrassed and I felt guilty. And guilt in those moments, for example, regarding what I'm saying is saying, hey, clean this up, fix it, address it. This isn't okay. This isn't who you want to be. This isn't where you want to go.
But I would say that you're so used to being who you are and having all of this knowledge about the principles that run our relationships. I know that's what you're teaching in this episode, but it's so easy for you to say, hey, this is a message that I need to be cleaning this up. But for most people who experience guilt, all they do is beat themselves up for it. They never see that it's trying to tell them that they need to clean up a mess. That's not even in their head, that they could make the guilt stop by doing the thing that they needed to do.
Well, we don't often talk about guilt because, as you'll come to find out in this episode, guilt is an incredible motivator that's used as a weapon very frequently. And I know we're not very conscious of that at all. Mm-hmm. And there are places and spaces where I want you to react and do what I need you to do because of the guilt, not make you aware of what it can do for you, which is why we're doing this episode. So there was a time where, I was raised in a guilt-ridden religion, for goodness sakes. One of the finest. You carry the guilt of your ancestors on into eternity, and that's a lot. So your actions are going to predetermine what happens to your posterity, which that's a lot of guilt. So I very much come from a culture where I also didn't think about these things in the way that I do now, and how freeing it was to learn and understand guilt and create the self-awareness necessary in order for me to have a very different relationship with this emotion, which is why I get very impassioned about teaching this to our clients and our listeners and the people in my sphere, because it can be such a gut-wrenching, debilitating emotion, which is how it commonly affects us. So guilt, if I don't know how to dance with guilt, turns from something I did that I need to adjust, clean up, fix, repair, do differently, improve, turns into shame. And that's where I'm not just this thing, this mistake, this mess. I am this thing. This is my identity now. And you can start to see that if I don't know how to work with guilt and I continue the patternistic behaviors that I'm now, like if I'm going back to the grocery store, right? And instead of cleaning that mess up, I just felt guilty. That turns into a pattern of avoidance that I do over time, again and again and again and again. And then pretty soon, that's just what I do. That's just how I respond. I am that thing. I am an avoider. I am out of integrity or a dishonest person. And that shapes my life. That shapes how I see myself. That's also going to compromise my self-esteem. And then I'm going to feel even more guilt that turns into more shame. And you can start to see how these things compound on themselves. So guilt is something that I made a mess around or wish I would have done differently or need to adjust in my behavior. And if I don't know how to work with it at that level, it's going to turn into a pattern that then I believe I am this thing. This is my identity. And that's where it moves from guilt to shame.
You just really unpacked often what we say, and that's why we're careful about labels. It can be a good snapshot of where we might find ourselves. To label us as that's who we are, you just described, then we'll often embody that.
We will.
And we all have the potential to not be the mistake that we made, and we can use it as a information and an inspiration to clean something up, become better from it, learn new skills, and behave in a different way rather than embodying whatever that situation is that we made the mistake. I mean, there's two forks in the road there, and it's really important, we would say, to use it as a learning, and the learning never stops. Mm-hmm. We're mess-making machines, as Staci likes to say. That's the human experience.
Yeah. One is a messenger. The other is a life sentence that you hand to yourself.
Really good,
yeah. Okay. So I want you to know something else about guilt and shame. It's a reflective emotion commonly. What does that mean? It means these emotions commonly show up on the backside of an experience that you didn't really enjoy or that didn't go well. Okay. Not before it happens, not during it happening, but on the backside of it. It's when the emotional storm has passed and now we're on the backside reflecting on it.
It's almost like there's when the equalization of what behavior you did and the ability for the rest of us to catch up to that. Like you said, I mean, who among us hasn't said, oh gosh, I could have definitely said that in a better way after those words have come out of our mouth.
Or why didn't I say that? Right? That's another, oh my gosh, hello. What was I thinking?
Or how about I could have just chosen just to pause and not say anything.
Should have kept my mouth shut.
Yeah.
And I had the inkling, maybe, or maybe not, because here's the thing. In the heat of it all, we're too busy coping and reacting to the outplay that is commonly very fast.
Oh
Emotions move very, very fast. I can go from fine to not fine in less than 22 seconds. Like, it is a high performance machine here, folks. It happens so fast. And here's the other kicker is that feelings are the subsets of emotion. Emotion is all the feelings together. And so what do I feel in the heat of a moment? Everything, all the emotion all at once. There's no way I'm going to be able to decipher down what it is I'm feeling and make sense of that while I'm in it, because I'm just feeling it all right now in this second. And it comes on like a banshee.
That's going to be especially difficult for couples where one person is very good at talking about their thoughts and feelings and another person isn't. Like, it's overwhelming to feel all of those feelings and not know what you're feeling or how to identify them or how to put it in words. That's when you typically go, I'm fine, or I don't want to talk right now. And then the person who is very good at sniffing out emotions is like, no, I know you're feeling this and this and this. And that just makes the situation even worse.
Yeah. And it can be on some, like, the most mundane things. I'm going to give you a real life example. Before we hit record,
oh my,
we were looking for a plug that Staci misplaced.
Mm-hmm.
That is undetermined, folks. That is completely undetermined.
Like, anyway, we freaking couldn't find it. I'm thinking, like, honey, like, no, you had it last. I said, babe, I never talked. But anyway, I mean, we found another one. It must be hiding where all the things that we can never find. You know, there's somewhere that It's there. But so it doesn't have to be over something big. This was a freaking plug, an adapter that we needed for the moment.
Yeah. And I'm going, I didn't touch it. I didn't unplug it. I don't remember unplugging it. And he's going, you plugged it in. I know you have it. Where did you put it? And it's like, all of a sudden we're feeling accused. And I finally just said, okay, time out here. I don't remember unplugging this. So maybe I sleepwalk. Maybe I do all kinds of things that I'm not sure, but I have no idea where that thing is.
Don't
so
worry. For
how
you
are we going to
listeners,
solve it?
We'll keep you posted on where we find it and who is really.
Yeah, who's really responsible.
But I mean,
for
seriously,
this?
all kidding aside, don't think this can be on just any component of life. And oftentimes it is the little things that can turn into big things.
But here's the kicker that relates to guilt. The thing that I'm really proud of us about is we didn't say anything to hurt each other or to attack each other, because if we had, we would have absolutely felt guilt on the backside of that.
And to be totally transparent, in the spirit of full disclosure,
You're going to say you're sorry?
No, believe me, I was right up against that line.
Yeah.
I was right up against that line.
You know what this reminds me of? There's a meme that goes around on the internet a lot, like every couple of years it makes its rounds, and it says, do y'all ever notice when you lose the remote, you lose trust in people? And then it says, are you sitting on the remote? And the person says, no. And then the other person says, stand up, let me see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. We did some inventory checking in various places we thought it was. Each of us couldn't find it in either place. It's in the place where, like the sock that you can't find. It's with that. It's a sock.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I'm thankful that I was up against the line, but I said, that's not going to do anything other than just make me more aggravated. So don't go there.
Then I just feel worse. That's going to become important to me continue to dive into guilt.
Okay.
Yeah, not only is the cord still missing, but you've made each other feel like criminals.
Actually, it's not the cord. It's the end where you plug it in so you can plug it into an outlet.
Like
so
the
it's
box, like
it's a USB that goes into like a little plug. Staci somehow
like the actual...
misplaced the plug.
He obviously is not humble enough yet to say, maybe I did it. And won't it be funny if it ends up that way? I at least had the ability to say, okay, maybe I did, but I have no idea where it is. Okay. I haven't heard you say that yet. Yeah. Do you think that there might be a slight possibility that you
as nice as my desk is?
Which is not at all.
We have some paper issues, but that's for
another time. That could be helpful. I'm just saying, just in case it does swing that way, you're not going to have so much egg on your face. So I'm just saying, maybe you should consider that as a possibility. Maybe you could say,
Dad, it's possible I've lost it. Go ahead.
It's possible I've misplaced it.
So here's the thing I want to really impress upon you. You don't swim up to a drowning person and ask them what they're learning from the moment and to translate their thoughts and feelings into a language that you can understand, right? And that's contingent upon helping them get to shore so that they can recollect and gather themselves. But isn't it amazing how we do that to people who are drowning in the emotional moment and reacting to it? We're trying to like therapize them or tell them what to do or give them all this great advice. And we don't realize they're drowning. Like I'm drowning when I'm reacting. And so this emotional storm picks up really fast. And then we've got to figure out how to survive and cope through it. And that will not be the place where I can learn something from it or be expected to have answers, solve problems, etc. To be honest, our brain goes completely offline. It's only thinking about alleviating, right, the intensity and getting through it. And then once I get somebody who's drowning to shore, it'll be a day or two later where maybe we can talk about the incident, how it happened, what their experience was, how they learned from it, etc. And I want to impress upon you, listener, that that is the same for our emotional experiences. So when it gets intense, the best thing we can do is get ourselves and each other to shore, and then we'll reflect on this. And that's also why guilt is going to show up on the backside. It's not going to show up while we're in it. We're too busy trying to get through it. We're too busy trying to cope. But when I think about it on the backside, it's going to go, well, I kind of, like you said, babe, right up against the line. We're right up against the line. We're feeling that pressure. And I had a few nanoseconds of making some really important choices. And it was good that you chose to keep your mouth shut. Me too. And now we can talk about it and laugh about it.
I do have to say that keeping your mouth shut, even though we're being silly, that is one of the hardest skills
Oh my
to
God.
learn in relationships. Is mom too sometimes does say when to talk and when to keep your mouth shut. It really is hard because you always, like, I catch myself doing it in real time. Jack and I could totally have a similar situation where one of us lost the plug that you need to plug into the thing. And I will literally in my head have a thought that says, I should say this. And then I tell myself, what would that accomplish? It would just hurt his feelings or it would make me feel guilty. But I just want you to know it is possible to change that. You can literally, it's kind of like I swallow it, but not that I swallow the things that are important to say. I say those things, but the quick, harsh things that aren't going to do anything, it actually is possible to stop yourself from saying them and just keep them inside.
Well, and Staci says this often. I mean, and really just take an honest evaluation. Have those comments ever really helped anything?
Helped?
No, they really haven't. It's just, but you're right. It's that pause can feel like 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And no, this is a different one. It's going to be the thing that puts us over the edge.
It's going
to put you over the edge of, like, you're going to be raced to the bottom, not to help. Or things.
Like, you said you were never going to do this again. And then you're like, would that really do anything in this moment? It would make them shoot off. It would make me shoot off more. Like, it always makes it worse. It's like throwing tinder onto the fire. But I just want to reassure people who don't have that skill yet. It's possible for anybody to gain it. It just takes practice.
Well, and I think that's really important to understand that if in the heat of it, you're reacting, right? You're just trying to get to shore. You're just trying to get to a safe, comfortable place and survive. It's not a character flaw. It can become a pattern of behavior, but it's certainly not who you are. But boy, we can start feeling like that's my pattern, my character flaw, or my partner's character flaw. And we don't realize it's just human, right? So self-awareness arrives after the experience if we know how to find that self-awareness to empower ourselves to just make better choices in the heat of a moment. And it takes practice because, as Tom mentioned, I mean, he didn't say it like this, but you're holding the tension of the emotion and you're not just allowing the emotion to carry you away in that place of reaction where you say and do some things that you regret and feel guilty about later on the backside in that self-reflective moment. We're all going to be required to navigate difficulty and conflict, right? That's just part of life and being in human relationships. But we absolutely can get better at holding that emotional tension and getting myself to the other side so that I can create some learning and some adjustments if I know how to work with the emotions that I'm feeling. The middle of a fight is never the moment to resolve the fight. You're both drowning. You're both just trying to get to shore. And resolution to the fight will always come later on the backside. So how can we get ourselves to a safe place while this emotional drowning passes? And then we can come back around and talk to each other and find the resolution on the backside of all of this.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, babe. Oftentimes what happens is we don't follow that pattern that Staci just described. And so we're not doing well when both of us are drowning and we're offering and sharing things that don't do a damn bit of good, but that take us to the race to the bottom of the lake or the river, or wherever we are, literally. And then what? We don't ever do any talking about it. We just act like it never happened and then pretend like after a certain period of time, it will be fine with some time.
We live there.
Yeah.
Right.
Or people believe, which I believed for a very long time, maybe like up until 5 years ago, that you can't go to bed without resolving it. So you stay up until 5 a.m. and you still never resolve it. Then you only get 2 hours of sleep. And then the whole next day is ruined because you're exhausted and still the fight is still happening because you didn't resolve it. So my question would be for couples who don't have all the skills that we're speaking about, Mom, too, when you know you're at the point in the fight where nothing good is going to happen from that point forward and you need to set it down and go to sleep or just have some time apart. Like in my relationship, that was never possible because I was the anxious one. And so I believed that we had to sit down and hammer it out and have all the answers until we could set it down, which I now know is not true. But how can you like do that? The thing that was uncomfortable to me was feeling like our relationship was on the edge of a cliff and I couldn't go live or go to sleep or like do my job the next day without feeling like wasn't the truth.
You had some sense of resolution.
So let's say Jack was asking this question. He would say, Staci, how could I have reassured Brooke that it's okay for us to go to sleep right now, even though we haven't figured this out? You know what I'm saying?
Well, 100%. And you just nailed it. But the biggest thing we need to wrap our logical brains around is we need to pause this. And we know that. We get the sensation like, whoa, okay, this is going sideways really quick. Somehow we've got to stop this. It's going to be a train wreck. I'm skidding out of control, literally. Mm-hmm. I'm drowning and I can't think straight anymore. And I'm saying and doing or not saying a thing. I'm shut down. I'm going quiet. I'm checked out. I'm not even present for this thing. And so to pause it is your question. If we'll start from a place of that reassurance, it goes a long way. If I just say, and that's enough, and I'm out, and I'm done with this conversation, it's going to spiral the anxiety. It's going to spiral the emotions that we're trying to allow to pass. But if I, even with my teeth gritted, even if it's taken everything I got, say, listen, this relationship is really important to me, and we need to pause right now because my fear and concern is that we're going to both regret this tomorrow. So let's just give it some time and let's each take a breath. And then I promise we'll come back and talk about it later. That gives me reassurance, but it also reassures me that we're going to address it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to see the coping styles that happen there in human dynamics and relationships because we don't know how to do this. And then when we do come back around and talk about it, we don't have the skills necessary to step into the conversation. So no wonder we avoid revisiting the conversation. I don't want to re-experience what I was drowning in, right? Mm-hmm. That's just our logic saying, whoa, as I'm resourcing for what I know and understand in here, I don't ever want to revisit that again. So you know what we're going to do? We're just not going to go there. Yeah. That's what we're going to do. And that makes sense. It's not that it was malicious or I'm wanting to impact my relationship negatively or I don't care about you or care about us. It's that literally that fearful awareness that number one, I about drowned right there. And number two, I don't know what to do differently. So you know what we're going to do? We're just going to pretend like this is all fine and go about our day. And that's why I said in the beginning of the episode, we're carrying the problem that we don't know how to resolve. And that's why we live in emotions of guilt and shame because we don't know how to resolve them.
You don't really say this much on the podcast anymore, but I just had a flashback to when we used to do webinars in my California apartment. And you talked about how we create emotional prisons of our own making. And I just want people to understand this is exactly what Mom 2 is talking about, because if we experience the guilt and shame that we sometimes experience by saying stuff that we shouldn't have said or not catching ourselves in the moment, then we beat ourselves up where our partner beats us up for what we said in that moment, then imagine like a jail cell comes down on that topic. Okay, so that topic is now off limits. Then that continues to happen because your skills don't improve. So every hard topic is like that. So say that was about body image. Then the next one is about budgeting. Jail cell goes down on that one. Next one is about how much time we spend together. That goes bad. Jail cell goes down on that one. So as you can see, your relationship becomes like a very narrow pathway of topics that you can speak about because all of them are now off limits. And if you're together for 30 years and that's the kind of pattern that you and your partner have created, that's a lot of unresolved issues that you're carrying on your back that you no longer feel that you can speak about.
You just gave a really great explanation of what do we hear all the time often, or one of the things we hear often when people start coming into our body of work and working with us, however they do, is what? We really don't talk anymore. Well, you just said that's, well, yeah, because there's very few things that we can talk about before it just instantly is a problem. Because literally we've created all of these emotional prisons on various things. Well, that's a pretty narrow road.
You've just got nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go.
Well, and then you can't really know your partner anymore because all the stuff that makes them and makes you, you can't really share it with each other because it involves all of the sensitive topics that you can't talk about.
You're simply just talking logistics. Who's taking the trash out? That's why it gets so shallow.
Well, and it's even deeper than that because when I'm living in an emotional prison, I actually can't understand myself either.
Yeah.
So if I can't talk and share and explore my own thoughts and feelings as a human being, if I can't speak, I don't understand myself either. So now we've really got a problem. I feel unworthy. not good enough. I have a lot of anxiety. I have a lot of doubt. That's where those feelings come from, is me not really feeling like I know and understand myself. So that's self-awareness, which is just simply me understanding my own emotional distinctions and my thoughts. And I'm able to understand and translate them into a language that I understand, empowers me to make better choices. And it also empowers me to speak more of what it is I want to say. I come from a better, genuine, truthful, honest place, because the truth of me is in my vulnerabilities. Nobody can take that away from me. You can not like it, you can challenge it, but I look inside and go, yep, that's what I think. And that's what I feel, even though I'm being told I shouldn't feel or think this way, or I should think and feel a different way. I can look inside with my self-awareness and my understanding of myself and go, yeah, but I do think that. Yeah, but I do feel that. Right or wrong or good or bad, it is what it is for me right now. And I know I can change it, right, in the next moment if I choose to. But having that empowerment is my most empowered place of my irrefutable truth of me. So when we're afraid of being vulnerable and we're lost in patterns of guilt and shame, you can see, of course, we're a hot mess. We are tumbling in our own fears, our own self-doubts. I have no solid place to stand. I feel like I'm consistently drowning, and I feel like I'm consistently either being attacked or dismissed. And so that's where these things take us. So I'm going to feel very incongruent.
What Mom 2 just described was the actual way to build resilience, which I feel a lot of people don't have in their toolkit. They don't know how to be resilient. We're not really taught that. But in my marriage, before my divorce, I was probably the least resilient person on the planet. And I tied most of my self-worth to what my husband thought of me. And he didn't think much of me physically. At least that's what he said. So he said one of our biggest fights was when he told me that he didn't find me attractive anymore. And it destroyed me. Like, I became a shell of a person. That's understandable. That would be hard for any person to hear. But if I had just had like a speck of self-respect or self-worth or self-belief that it wasn't true, I could have just been like, okay, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? I could have said, well, I think I'm attractive, so it doesn't really matter if you think I'm, like, it does. But you know what I mean? It literally tore me apart, a feeling. But I think in speaking about these emotional self-prisons, a lot of times we don't take responsibility for our own resilience, which I think in relationships, we forget that it's not our partner's job to prop us up. I just think a lot of times we rely 100% on our partners to prop us up. So when you create these emotional prisons, a lot of times they become off limits because if your partner mentions them to you, then you will collapse. Aaron knew that he couldn't tell me that up until that moment where I kind of coerced it out of him. He knew he couldn't tell me that because he knew if he did, I would collapse. And I did. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. The point I'm trying to make is that it's important for us to have some mental strength and mental resilience, because the conversations that you're asking your partner to have with you, if they have the capability or potentiality to break you down into a puddle on the floor, then having those conversations, whether or not you want to have them, it's not a good idea, because you don't have the ability to withstand the mental storm, so to speak. If you're begging your partner to tell you something and they know that their answer to the question is going to ruin you, then of course they're never going to come to the table and have the conversation. There has to be some sort of expectation that that's not going to happen, you know, that there's safety in the relationship, that you guys can tell each other these things. Otherwise, what's the point of it? Like, Aaron telling me that, it was a bad choice. It was a bad choice for me to ask the question and for him to say, and for me to realize he didn't want to answer it, but me to keep pushing him. And then he finally did tell me, and then it broke me.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's such a common pattern.
It is. It's not so much I have the expectation that you're going to be okay. I have something more concrete. I have the trust in your ability and my ability to navigate through this. An expectation is going to create disappointment, but trust is the thing that we're lacking. And we are in a crisis of self-trust right now in our country and in our society, in our world, because we believe that everybody and everything outside of me has my answers. I'll just scroll. What does TikTok say? What does YouTube say? What does my pastor, my parents, my lover, my partner have to say about this? And I'm losing the ability at a rapid rate to go and resource those answers from within myself. So hence, with regards to what we're saying, I know myself and I trust myself less and less and less, which then sets me up to take everything that somebody views of me, like you were just describing in your previous marriage. That opinion of me now has the power to dismantle me because I don't have the ability to resource and say, whoa, time out. I really like my body. I really feel good about who I am in this place in my life. And so I got to ask you, are you saying that to be hurtful, or are you saying it because you don't know how to talk about some things that are not really working for you in our sex life? There could be so many potential doors that are open in that I don't find you attractive anymore. Or are you feeling self-conscious in your own ability sexually, intimately, etc.? May not have anything to do with me,
but projecting it onto me.
Exactly. So without that ability to trust myself and go, wow, that was really hard to hear, but got to be honest with you, right? That irrefutable truth that we were talking about, I feel pretty good about me right now. And I'm sorry if that's really how you feel. Let's dig a little deeper into that. I won't have the resilience to do that because I'm resourcing my sense of well-being and trust that I'm enough from you. So now what you have to say about me puts me in a very precarious position. That place is commonly guilt and shame. It's guilt that has turned into shame because your emotional guilt is sharing with you a message about your behavior that is saying some version that, hey, hello, you're not giving yourself credit. This doesn't feel really good. You kind of outsourced your worth. I really think you should say something here. I think you should stick up for yourself because that's really not how you are thinking. It's like the vetting out. It's the alarm bell that goes off that says you are now incongruent with the person you say and believe or desire yourself to be. And so it dismantles me and turns into shame. So when you can't tell guilt from shame, you're either stopping the trying to repair because what's the point? You're just broken or they're just broken. Or you're over apologizing and you're sacrificing some part of your own self-worth in order to navigate through the difficult moment of drowning. And neither one is going to take you back to the person that you desire to feel close to. And that even includes yourself. So we're taught guilt is an enemy of connection. It's the opposite, actually. Guilt is the emotion that is asking for repair within myself, the connection with myself and with my person. I feel guilty because I know I've violated, right? I've said or done something that I know has hurt you. And now I'm going to defend it or spin it around on you instead of just say, I'm sorry. That what I said just hurt you. I don't feel good about that. Let me try again. That's two very different responses to guilt. One is going to take me into shame and the other one is going to clean up the guilt. And I get to leverage the guilt as a useful tool to help me navigate adjusting again so that I can feel better about me. I can develop resilience. I can develop self-esteem and self-confidence in my own conviction of knowing myself and how I dance and play with others. Do I play well with others or do I attack others because of my own feelings of guilt and shame? It's a big question.
What if you wish they felt guilty? Like, what if you had a terrible fight and they said really mean things and you wake up the next morning and they just are acting like everything's fine and you are like, you should feel guilty right now. What do you do in that situation?
Well, so I would feel guilty in that situation. That's what's coming off. I would feel terrible if I said and did those things. And that's how you would approach the conversation, actually. I would feel guilty and terrible about these things, and you seem to be okay with it. Help me understand what's going on for you. Instead of saying, I'm going to make you feel guilty. Well, now I'm doubling down and look at the setup. I'm going to do things that cause me to feel more guilt.
Just really be mindful of what Staci just shared, because it wasn't hugely different, but it was very different. So they like you were still sharing how it was coming up, but you weren't being accusational. You were being revealing and inviting someone to please help me understand how this is not unsettling for you because it sure was for me. That's much different than like, what the F were you thinking?
Like, you're a dickhead. How could you have talked to me like that?
See?
You know,
it's just like everything else. The huge differences from very slight. It's just simply the sequence of the words and how we use them. They're not fancy words, but the sequence of which we help people to use is a much different, usually renders a very different outcome.
Yeah. And a lot of times I like to say that I'm Mom 2's second brain, because I've worked with her for 15 years. I can often guess what she's about to say, but I just want everyone listening to know that I would have never arrived at that place from the question that I asked. A lot of times I ask the question knowing what her answer will be. I didn't know that. And it's so simple. My point is, it's so simple what she just said, but I never would have thought to phrase it in the way she phrased it. Like, wow, that would, your behavior last night, I would have woken up feeling guilty, and it's surprising to me that you aren't acting that way. Can you help me understand that? It's so hard to come to like a very calm place like that. It's more natural to be intense and questioning and probing because you're just trying to, like you said, come to shore safely. And when you're drowning, it's not your first instinct to ask a very calm, unassuming, rational question.
Well, and the beautiful thing is, again, I want to be repetitive by design here is, you were, the example we used, you were still able to share how you truly felt.
Yes.
And that's usually what people say, well, if I can't say how I feel, no, you can, but you don't have to come from a place of accusing someone. You can still, so that was very incredible. I've been with this woman for a lot of years. There's no one that hears more from her than I do, but it's just, again, the ease of which Staci shares this, it kind of baffles everybody. And it's only because Staci does it more than any of us. Literally, she's got more reps.
As you're talking about this, the irony that's firing off in my brain is, isn't it amazing how often we think that, okay, here's how we're going to handle this. I'm going to drag you off the shore and I'm going to hold you under and drown you again until you
make
feel
you come
guilty.
To my, yes.
And now I feel guilty for doing such a thing. Now we're both losing. And that's literally how we create the race to the bottom.
But it's true, because when you are like the morning after the fight, everyone knows that feeling. It's where you have a rubric of what you expect your partner to do to repair, after when you wake up the morning after a fight.
That's an expectation.
Rubric.
That's an expectation.
You have a list of expectations that if they don't do this, 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 and this, then it's not over and you're not going to be able to get over it. But you don't realize that by having that, you're walking out with your guns up. You know what I mean? Like you're not entering the morning after the fight in a neutral position if that's what you're doing.
We've talked a lot about this often recently, is you're going right into the courtroom and you're going to frickin' be the best frickin' prosecuting attorney that has ever lived, rather than being into the classroom like, gosh, what you had shared I would wake up really feeling very unsettled. And can you please help me understand? You don't seem like that. That's the classroom approach versus what Brooke described. Off to the guillotine, or maybe just straight to the death penalty, metaphorically.
We don't think that, sure, maybe they are feeling extremely ashamed and guilty. That is all that's going on in their head. They're just presenting normally, you know, like they're just talking to you normally. They are feeling those things. They're just so uncomfortable. They're trying not to speak like that,
That's the other thing that I really want to make sure we're clear about when it comes to guilt, because guilt is telling me about my behavior. Mm-hmm. That's really important. And when it's an uncomfortable feeling, we have a tendency to get defensive with it. Mm-hmm. And the minute I get defensive with it is the minute that I'm going to say and do more things that make me feel guilty. And that's how we drive the feelings of guilt that we live in that then turn into shame. It's really important we understand that. So defensive is the thief of my sense of well-being. It is the thing that prevents me from utilizing guilt and benefiting from it. So I want you to understand that guilt actually has 4 things that it does really, really well for us. So the first thing that it does is it focuses us on our behavior, the one thing that we can actually control and change. It also activates empathy. Like, here's the thing. You wouldn't feel guilt if you didn't care. That's how it activates empathy for ourselves and for the person that maybe I've said and done some things that I don't really feel all that proud of. And I know that because I wouldn't feel guilt if I didn't care. if I didn't want to be already aware of the person that I want to be. That's important. And it also is a great motivator. So when I feel guilt, I will do things, right, that I normally wouldn't do. I'll take care of things. Like it's the thing that gets me off the couch. It's the thing that causes me to initiate repair. It's also the thing that will cause me to become defensive. So there's going to be action that is commonly taken on the emotion of guilt, either to get away from it and ignore it, or to manage it, adjust it, work with it, and move through it. So the discomfort is what gets us to clean up a mess and make changes to do better, make better commitments and promises and agreements with ourselves and others. So it repairs connection because we feel the discomfort over feeling disconnected. And I feel bad about my part. And I want you to feel bad about your part too, so that repair can happen. It points us to what is needed to reestablish connection. So it does a lot of really great things for us. However, because it's a great motivator, guilt can be used as a really powerful weapon. And this commonly shows up in our places of religion, in our cultural beliefs about how this should go and what you should feel guilty about. My families of origin have an unprecedented skill set that motivates us to adhere to it because I want to be, right, included, loved, accepted, do it the right way. I don't want to feel guilty. I don't want to feel dismissed, set aside, criticized, ignored, like I'm not playing along. So if guilt is felt and I don't know what to do with it and I don't understand the upside of it, I can find myself playing along with things I shouldn't be that are dismantling me. I can also feel myself getting defensive and aggressive because I don't want to feel this feeling of guilt. And I play that out. The motivator will work for a period of time, but eventually that motivating factor, when it turns to shame, is going to stop working because I'm going to 9 times out of 10 go numb because I can't seem to turn it around. I can't be enough. I can't do it right. I can't get it right. I'm still feeling very disconnected from you, from myself. And so I give up. And that numbness turns into give up. And then it turns into a whole nother piece of my give a damn is busted. I don't give a shit anymore. I'm just going to accept the reality that I am this, and I'm going to act out. And I start stepping into all kinds of risky behaviors in my acting out. And that could take on a whole variety of all kinds of things. So it's really important to understand and be able to distinguish the differences between shame, this is who I believe myself to be, and guilt. Hey, by the way, this is probably something you want to check. You seem to be out of congruence with yourself, and recognize that it can be weaponized. And so it's also very important that you ask yourself a very important question. And Brooke, you had no idea I was going to talk about this on the podcast today, but this takes me back to the very good question you asked. I feel like you should feel guilty about this. It's really important that we have the ability to assess that for myself. You're telling me I should feel guilty, but do I? You're telling me I should think and feel this way, but does that work for me? Is that something that's going to help me show up better, ease my pain, right? My conflict? Is this something that fits for me? I appreciate you bringing it to my attention, but then I need to assess that situation for myself. Because if I'm just playing along, or now I feel guilty because you told me I should, that's where, that guilt weapon can really take me on a ghost chase.
Well,
and I feel like I'm going to do it. Yeah. Sorry. I feel like I'm going to do it. I'm going to play along. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do better at it. Let me show you, all these things that I'm trying to improve and get better at. And I'm literally falling apart because I'm not asking myself the question of, do I feel guilty so that I can adjust my own behavior? I'm taking your word for me just feeling guilty, and I'm going to play along with it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a common device that some partners use to control their partners by continually telling them that they need to feel guilty for this certain thing that they're doing. And then they say, okay, I do feel guilty, but nothing ever changes. Nothing ever gets better. But it's just the one partner loves having control over the other partner by using guilt as the weapon or controlling device.
I'll say this in the spirit of love and respect for us all humans. If we're all being honest here, we've all used that one because it's very effective. It is probably one of the first things we were taught as a kid, to be honest. And it works. And it's not just in my family, it's everywhere. If I can make somebody feel guilty or bad, then it motivates them to behave in a way I want them to comfort me, really. Mm-hmm. I want to cause you to feel guilty so that you will give me what it is I need so I can feel better myself. And that's the weapon. Or I can be as worthy, as holy, as pure, as good, as well-behaved, as blah, 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 so and so and so and so, without realizing I'm not checking in with myself because I don't know who I am. I have a tremendous amount of doubt. Maybe I'm wrong. So I don't even consider the idea that maybe this doesn't work for me, right? This isn't congruent with me. I'm just supposed to feel guilty because you told me I should. And I need to play along in order to feel loved, accepted, important, valued, appreciated, all the things that I'm dying for. And we don't realize until we're commonly into 30s, 40s, the price that we pay for doing that. We usually fall apart first and then have to kind of sift through, okay, what's the truth for me? Where's my own place of foundation? And as I already said, we are in a self-trust, a self-awareness crisis. I'm asking everything, even ChatGPT, for who I am, how I should feel, what I should do, how I should think, how I should navigate this. And I'm losing the ability to resource for myself. And that should terrify us all, because the more I am in that place, the more culpable I am to the manipulations of guilt and the manipulations of all kinds, not just with my lover, but from the world in which I live in. To me, is the thing that keeps me up at night right now. I'm going to just be honest. So weaponizing guilt creates invisible rules that then tell us who we need to be. Fill in the blank. That could be good enough, worthy, loved, included. This is exactly how guilt gets weaponized. It stops being a personal signal of my misaligned behavior and instead becomes shame, who I am, and I now feel attacked or I attack myself. And we unknowingly leech or hook our identity to those things or that something that is telling me who I should be. And then I feel like I need to play along. So it comes out in words like this. Look what you made me do. That's guilt. After having sacrificed all of this for you, this is the way you're going to treat me. If you really loved me, you would. Guilt. Those are guilt inducing. So guilt coded sentences that are dressed up as love. That's not love. I'm inflicting pain and I'm saying malicious things to somebody I say I love to try and get what it is I want out of them, so that I can feel better myself. I would be much better off to just say, hey, you know what I'd really appreciate is this. Or what's really hurting for me is this.
Or what I really need to hear from you right now is X.
Here's the grace for the listener. If you grew up with this language, you probably use it too. And like I've already said, we've all done this. And we might all be culpable to use it again because it's such an effective weapon when I'm feeling like I'm drowning.
Well, I was just going to say, even when we become skilled, we have, like Staci and I, we can become a hot mess and become a flame-throwing guilt thrower just like everybody else. What happens though is we can more quickly, oh gosh, that was bad. Like, I don't know, like my bad. I became a hot effing mess. Like, you can course correct so much quicker. So it's not that we're ever going to not do these things again. I always say, if there's anything Staci and I maybe do that's different, is we're just really good at cleaning up our messes. Why? Because I want to get back to the good stuff. I don't want to hang out feeling like that. So I want to go back to the mother lode, so to speak, as possible.
And for many of us, we keep going back to it, especially if it was the language that I grew up in, because it's the only tool I got.
And I'll probably be over the plug thing here by the end of this episode. And once Staci realizes that she lost it, we'll be fine. Just having a little fun. Humor is fun. I mean, it really is not that big of a deal. What the heck's wrong with me, you know? In the worst case, we go buy another one.
Yeah. Bottom line is, if you push guilt too hard and too long, the give a damn breaks.
Yep. Bursts. It bursts. Doesn't just break.
You say, fine, I'll be the thing that you say I am. And that's the moment that guilt flips into shame.
Yep.
So these big takeaways. Wait a minute. Before we can wrap up this episode, I've got to give you 3 steps in order to manage guilt, right?
Please.
Okay. Just to put this in slow motion, though, because we're going to have to go in the opposite direction of about what I'm about to say here. Here's the 7-step cycle of guilt. I make a mistake. I beat myself up, but I don't extract the lesson. I act out again because nothing changed. The pattern repeats, and eventually I stop believing I made a mistake and I start believing I am the mistake. That's shame. And shame begins to say, hide, defend, withdraw, attack. Push it far enough and we go numb, check out of our lives, become a shell of ourselves. Shame is the place you arrive when guilt has been sitting on you for too long and nobody taught you what to do with it. So
that's the progression.
That's the progression. I just want you to see that very, very clearly. So what do we need to do instead? We need to go the opposite direction. So step 1 is clarity. What specifically did I do or not do that I wish I would have done differently? I need to extract that. I'm feeling guilt because I care, remember? I'm feeling guilt because I'm out of congruence with who it is I want to be and how it is I want to show up. That's not a problem per se, unless I don't extract the clarity out of it, because then I'm just kind of stuck with the feeling and don't know what to do instead. So that step 1 is very important. Step 2, what does this guilt want me to learn? And sometimes remember. In the learning, it hurts so good because I'll remember it next time this feeling comes up again. And I'll remind myself, I have a critical choice here to make. I don't want to go down that road because I know where it takes me. That really hurt last time. Let me do this. That helps when we're in moments of holding that emotional tension, right? I don't want to go down that road because I don't feel very good about myself and the way this goes when I do. It's good that pain is a reminder for us there in those moments. It helps us make better choices. So step 2 is extract the lesson. Step 1 is find the clarity in the behavior that I don't feel so good about and what it is I would like to do instead. And then step 3 is you make a commitment to yourself, small, specific, and doable. A promise to yourself about the next time you want to find yourself in this situation. I want to choose to do this. Or I make a promise to clean it up, say something, take responsibility for the thing that I see I wish I would have done differently. That sets me free, but it also helps us reconnect with my partner, right? That's the empathetic side of guilt. I'm sorry. I need a do-over. Let me try again. I'm not feeling really good about how that went. Let me try again. Even if I get the reassurance of, hey, no, I didn't take it like that at all. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me to alleviate my own feelings of guilt and to demonstrate to me that I'm going to behave in a way that is congruent to me. That's really important. So that commitment is really important because the next time I feel this way, I'll count to 10 before I speak. That's a small, doable commitment. Or the next time I want to shut down, I'll say one sentence out loud. The commitment isn't the whole mountain. It's just the next inch. It's just the next piece. It's the way that I take guilt and I work with it, right? Or the next time I'm told I should feel guilty, I'm going to check in with myself and assess, do I? Do I really feel guilt here genuinely or no? I want to be mindful of those kinds of things. So to recap our episode today, there's some really key important points that I want to make sure that you're taking away here. Guilt means you care. Shame means you forgot who you are. You're taking that on personally. You can't extract the lesson while you're drowning. You've got to get to shore first. Guilt is about your behavior. Shame is about your identity. Don't forget to ask yourself, is the guilt I'm feeling genuine, or am I being told I should be feeling it? And then remember the 3-step process: clarity, the lesson I'm learning, and the small doable commitment that I need to make the next time I find myself in this place, or the mess that I'm going to take immediate action on cleaning up. Use these 3 steps every time you feel guilt. And forget about being perfect, because remember, even an inch of progress counts. And by the way, that comes from an incredible community member inside of our Better Love Club. Thank you, Marcus. We appreciate what you contribute to all that we do.
Yes, we do.
We don't heal by pretending we didn't mess up. We heal by allowing those moments to help us realign with who we desire to become next. If you're listening to this and realizing how long you've been carrying things, replaying them, trying to fix them in your own head, that's exactly why we created this retreat to Tuscany. Because you don't heal guilt and shame by thinking harder. You heal it in safe moments, safe places, honest conversations, and real connection. So this September, we're taking a small group to a 1,000-year-old castle in Tuscany for 6 days of slowing down, reconnecting, and actually letting go of what no longer serves us. If something in you is saying, I need that, please listen to it. There are only 3 spots left, and you can find all the details on the show notes or by going to our website, stacibartley.com. And if by chance you're needing help and support in navigating guilt and shame in your relationship, I invite you to book a clarity call to understand what the next best steps would be for you so that you can put some better tools in your toolbox. Our follow the fun today is a little thing I call Dear Me, I See It Now. I want to invite you to write a 1-minute note to the version of you who made a mistake. You know, the thing that you're kind of ruminating on probably right now. Write a 1-minute note to that version of you who made that mistake and start with, I see now that I was confused, hurt, frustrated, pissed off, disappointed. Just giving you some examples. Overwhelmed, scared. And end with the next time I'm going to blah. And that could be pause, remember I care, say a truthful statement, talk about me, give you a hug, ask for a hug, shut my mouth. Those are all really great options. And that's going to help you start implementing those 3 steps. Remember, clarity, what's the lesson, a small doable commitment, promise to myself, whatever that might be. I hope that helps you start making some progress with these very human feelings of guilt and shame. The song today is Natasha Bedingfield's song Unwritten. And I chose this because guilt and shame cause us to feel like our lives are already written in stone. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing to be done. And nothing could be further from the truth. So this song by Natasha reminds us it's unwritten. What are you going to do today? Rewrite it. Do something with it. Do something that takes you in a better direction. So enjoy it. Let the sun illuminate you and let it cause you to understand things that you're just not looking at or things that you haven't extracted as a lesson. So
Too bad that song didn't move me.
I know.
And Brooke and I say this often, not so much anymore, but early on in our days with my mom too, always, Brooke, I say, maybe we should just scrap the song deal. Like, no, that won't be happening. The song will carry on.
Well, yes. And it's something else that I thought for sure you were going to say was, okay, here's her cry for the day.
Well, that's just,
there is no doubt that this work is something that is very passionate. If you're a listener on the podcast, you already know that you've heard me cry 1,000 times, but I care. I care about you. I care about how this goes. And I know with every fiber of my being, we can become better human beings. The human being that you already know you are, you just got to figure out how to step into it. So let's go together. I'm here to help you and support you in that in any way I can.
as are we.
Hey, thank you so much for being here in the Love Shack with us today. And if this conversation has moved you, helped you feel a little more seen, or is giving you something to think about, please consider sharing it with someone you care about. You never know who's in a place where this just might be the thing that helps me out so much. And if it's helped you personally, please consider leaving us a review. We love hearing from our listeners and how this podcast is impacting and supporting you. And if you have a question or a topic that you would like to talk about, that's really good too. We do our best to try and acknowledge and serve our listeners as well. Remember, love isn't enough, but skills are. So learn them, practice them, and live them. And don't let that guilt shit kick your ass. We can do better than that. Bye-bye for now.
All right, it's time to leave the Love Shack. But before we part ways, we want you to know our door is always open and we'll leave the porch light on, ready to welcome you back whenever you need a dose of relationship wisdom. For more resources and tools, visit us at loveshacklive.com to dive deeper into the topics we've explored and find additional support for your relationship journey. Stay connected by subscribing to our podcast. Thank you for being part of our Love Shack Live community.